we have a new girl.
Yes.
This is the gorgeous Brushenka with Natalie. They are both in the wonderful show in Sonning that I'm in at the moment. So come and see all of us. Dee's seen it, haven't you, darling?
I've seen it twice. and I'm seeing it again. I'm just absolutely in love with all of you and the play and Sonning, the mill. Oh my goodness. And I'm not just saying that, because you can go and have a really good nosh beforehand and then see mega talent like your good selves. You can pay me later.
Oh, we will. We'll definitely pay you later.
Brushenka, tell me about you, because I just thought you were fantastic in your, I won't give the game away, but you've done a lot of movies, haven't you?
Well, I've had, I would say, a varied career. It's a real mix of theatre, TV and film. Loving doing the show at the moment, working with the fabulous Natalie and Debbie. And yeah, I'm having lots of fun with the character that I'm playing. She's not the nicest or kindest of characters, shall we say. And of course, I'm nothing like her in real life. I'm sweetness and light. But yeah, she's the antagonist in this show, I suppose, in this story.
Yeah.
The other
one. Exactly.
And I have to speak in French and use a French accent, so that's fun. And still to my bow,
which you do very well.
Natalie, Natalie, you've done loads and loads of costume dramas, haven't you? Really missed them.
I do miss them. Yes, I did so many in the 1980s. 1980s Pride and Prejudice, all sorts of things, but I used to rush in and out of doors with lots of ringlets shouting, "We have to go, Papa, the train will leave without us." And I do miss that, but I just don't think I'd get the ingenue parts now. But I'd still listen, my dream is to be in Bridgerton. I want to be in one of those little Regency frocks with a fan gossiping. That's what I want.
We could do that anyway, Nat.
Call the midwife or something, you know. I could see you in a
anything.
Do you know what we could do? We could have a party, like a Bridgerton party, and all dress up in that.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Couldn't we? Yes. And talking of parties, I must tell you, I went to a Chinese New Year party at the weekend, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was just so beautiful. It was the end of the Chinese New Year with a friend of mine who's Chinese, and she did the most amazing meal. And we all dressed in red and gold. And I found out all about the origins of the Chinese New Year, which is very fascinating.
Wow.
Another long story for another day, but it was just brilliant food. And Angelina, thank you, darling. She's watching, I'm sure, at this moment.
Well, sadly.
Year of the Rabbit, what does that bring us? What does that bring us?
What, darling?
What does the Year of the Rabbit bring us? Because that's what it is.
Right.
Oh, well, it's going to be a magnificent year. It's going to be so wonderful for all of us. We're going to have loads of work, loads of money, good health, abundance. Oh, it's going to be sensational. Well, that's my take anyway.
What is everyone? I'm a dog. Are you a rabbit then? Are you? What are you? What animals are you all?
What are you, Debbie?
I think I am. Oh God, I think I'm a goat.
Are you?
Sweet.
No.
Yeah.
Surely not.
Yes.
Goodness me.
Well,
mind you, they have their.
I was very compatible with my first husband because he was a horse.
Ah, a goat and a horse. Of course.
Horse. Yeah.
He was a horse in more things than just a horse name. That's terrible. That's getting very rude. And I don't even want to be like that anymore because I'm that sort of rude woman.
Yes. Nat, what about you, darling?
I'm a dog. A dog.
And what are you, Brushenka?
I'm a tiger.
I'm a tiger.
You are. You're a tiger.
Tiger. Yes, can somebody take me away now, please? Oh. It's time I went to the other side because I have lost my brain cells. Dee, you better bring in the next guest.
I think I better before we all go completely mad. Right. So we've got a fabulous guest today. I'm sure you'll recognise her from a lot of programmes on telly over the last 20 years, and her name is Joanne Farrell. Come in, Joanne. Hi, Joanne. How are you?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
Oh,
I'm
good. Very
fine.
well, thank you.
You
Joanne,
look very, very glamorous today.
you look marvellous.
Thank you very much, as do you all.
Oh, thank you. You have to say that, of course. But anyway, we agree,
Otherwise,
though.
we'll
We
just
agree.
kick you off the show. It's very easy. If people don't say we look gorgeous, we just go, oh, we've lost them. That's weird, isn't it? Yeah, we've got no more signal.
Yes.
Sorry. And then they go.
So you
They
can
never
stay
heard it
now,
again.
Joanne. Joe, you can stay.
Okay, we're on. Thank you.
Joanne,
it's a
this
good
is
start.
Prashenka and Natalie.
Hello.
Hello. Hiya.
Because I know that you know Sherry, don't you?
Yes,
Joe?
we did Crossroads together for a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But
And
that's
now
cool.
you've got a change of direction to something that you love, which is music and writing. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. So I started out in musical theatre and then ended up doing lots of telly as well. And then now I'm back to singing, which is my first love, I guess.
And you've got a beautiful voice. It's very Disney-esque, actually. It's stunning.
Thank you. So it's quite a happy song, my latest song. So I suppose it comes over that way.
Can I ask you a question? Where did you film that? That was incredible.
Okay, so I wrote the song first of all for my daughter, and my husband's an actor and director as well. So we wrote the song, and then I was thinking, what do we do about a video? And my husband said, listen, I've been working in Lebanon. It's absolutely stunning. The scenery is very much like what you're singing about in the song. It's mountainous, it's beautiful. And a friend of ours who's a director out there had just finished a series and he was available, and his team. So we said, tell you what, let's jump on the plane, fly out, have a drive around, see what's there, and shoot the video. And so we jumped in the car, our little family, and Meshti, our director, and we drove all around and up into the mountains. And we found this incredible scenery and this incredible tree house that we didn't know existed in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, and that was so Tarzan. It was fabulous.
And it just seemed to be the perfect location to shoot the song. So it was all a little bit, spur of the moment, but we went out there and we shot it. And then, in fact, while we were there, it's such a beautiful place and there's so much variety in location that I actually shot another video while I was out there down by the beach, which was fun as well. But yes, this particular video is green and mountainous and beautiful. So we were very lucky.
Fantastic.
How fabulous.
Joanne, your body of work is magnificent, and I was fortunate enough to see you in Saturday Night Fever, and I thought you were absolutely brilliant in that. I mean, your performance is still etched in my memory. You were just fabulous. Do you have plans to go back into musical theatre? Obviously music is a huge thing for you, but is theatre on the cards?
I would absolutely love to go back and do musical theatre. I mean, it really is my passion. I started my first one at age 13, and that paved the way for me. So at 16, I came to London to study at Italia Conti, and my parents put me in a convent to keep me safe.
Did it?
For 2 terms. I lasted 2 terms there, but yeah, it was fantastic, and it's what I've always done. So I started working pretty quickly and continued through right up until having my daughter, actually. So it's something that I've always done, and I would really love to go back to. But I did take a break to have her, and also a slightly enforced break because my pregnancy was quite complicated and I had some complications afterwards. So it meant that I had to take some time out, but it certainly is something I'd love to go back and do now. But getting into the studio and writing my own work is really important to me as well, because as you know, it's fantastic performing other people's work, but sometimes you just want to express things for yourself, and I'm now starting writing about things that are really important to me. So this one's for my daughter, and there's one for my husband, and I don't want to work through the entire family, but yeah, it's nice to write and create as well.
That's lovely.
What complications did you have in your pregnancy, if you don't mind talking about that?
Not at all. So I came down with a condition that's really quite rare, but it's pregnancy related. It's called dilated cardiomyopathy, or my particular version is peripartum dilated cardiomyopathy. And cardiomyopathy is the family of conditions which is probably best known for sports people when they collapse on the pitch. And they don't really know what causes it with pregnancy, because it's not something that they can really force somebody to be pregnant so that they can carry out testing on it. So it is quite dangerous. So basically, I gave birth to my daughter in 2010, and my health started to deteriorate. And obviously, I'd been very fit beforehand with doing musicals. So I was used to being very fit and working hard. So I knew what tired was. But basically, I wasn't recovering. I wasn't getting any better. In fact, my health was deteriorating. And the problem with the condition is that it mirrors a lot of things that happen during pregnancy. So palpitations, swelling of the legs, difficulty breathing, being extremely fatigued. And these things run parallel. So I knew I wasn't recovering, and I went to see my GP several times, and I was told, oh, well, you've got a new baby, it's normal to be very tired. And they sent me home as a tired mom. But I knew that I wasn't a tired mom. I knew there was something more serious. Unfortunately, this went on for 3.5 years, and I ended up collapsing and in A&E. And having chest x-rays, and nothing was picked up, and being sent home again. And eventually the condition was so bad, I knew I was dying. I just didn't know what of. And because I didn't know the condition existed, I couldn't put 2 and 2 together and say, look, it's possible there's something to do with my heart here, etc., etc. So on one particular occasion, I called a paramedic in the middle of the night. And they came around and discovered that I had something called a left bundle branch block. And this is where the heart has dilated to the point where it snaps the electrics in the heart. So the heart no longer beats simultaneously, it starts to beat out of sync. Unfortunately, that's not repairable. So they took me into A&E, and A&E said, oh, you were probably born with it. Now, to me, that didn't make sense, because having done what we do, you know that you go through health checks for jobs, and you know that you're super, super fit. And I was sure that I would have known about it beforehand. So I went back to my GP and said to them, look, I either have cancer, or I have skin cancer, or abdominal cancer, or something, or it's my heart, because I had this swelling of my body. My body was, at this point, was starting to fill with fluid because I was in severe heart failure. And I couldn't breathe, I couldn't lie down, I couldn't get through the day. I had a toddler I was struggling to look after. I was turning brown. My hair was falling out, my nails were falling off. I mean, there was so much going wrong. And I had this, what's known as an impending sense of doom. So I knew there was something really, really seriously wrong with me. I just didn't know where to go to get an answer. So we went through various tests, and then I went back to the hospital for more scans of my heart. And unfortunately, they were misread. So I didn't take no for an answer. I was absolutely convinced. So I went privately. And at that point, I got a diagnosis, and my diagnosis was peripartum dilated cardiomyopathy and severe and left bundle branch block. So at that point, I was in severe heart failure. And heart failure is when the heart can't pump enough blood around the body to support the vital organs. And at this point, the body starts to shut down. And I've been through this for 3.5 years. So I was in pretty serious situation. So what we decided to do was, I wouldn't read anything about it. I would just focus on getting better. And my family, my husband, would read upon the condition so that they knew what to look out for. And I started then with my medication. And then as that started to kick in and I started to settle a little bit, to go back and train and start rebuilding myself all over again from scratch. So going back, doing very, very basic exercise and just building it up gradually over time. And then taking into consideration all the things that you need to do with heart failure or with a heart condition. No caffeine, no salt, making sure that you eat well, that you sleep a lot. And after being basically switched off for 3 months, I started to recover and build and build and build. And now I'm at the stage where I'm considered normal. I have a normal ejection fraction, which is the rate at which your heart can pump blood around the body. And I will stay medicated, but the important thing now at this stage is to exercise, is to sleep well, eat well, and live. And I have to say, to get a diagnosis at that point when I was mentally struggling as well as physically, I don't think you've ever seen anyone so happy to be told they're in heart failure, because you really think you're going mad at that stage when everyone tells you you're okay, and you feel that you're not. So what's really important
story.
Sorry?
I said, what a story. I mean, it's just extraordinary, and just that awful thing that you know, but nobody's telling you. Just that diagnosis changes your world. My
Absolutely.
God. Story.
And that's one of those things where I say to people, I mean, you know when you're ill, but you know when you're seriously ill, and no matter what, really push to get your diagnosis, or really trust yourself that you know what's happening. And then it was important to me afterwards to raise awareness of the condition, because what we generally do when people have babies is say, oh, how's the baby doing, etc. And lots of times we overlook mom, and this mom was really struggling to be heard. So it's not something you want to go around frightening every young mom saying, oh, you've had a baby and you're tired, there must be something wrong with your heart, because it's not that at all. And it is a rare condition, but it exists. And if we know about it, then at least you can start to think, well, maybe this is something that I need to explore. So it's nice to raise awareness about it. But I also speak at conferences as patient representative, for example, for the Royal Brompton or for Cardiomyopathy UK, just to speak and share my story, because I don't want anyone else to go through it. And I think it's quite exceptional to go through 3.5 years of it. And in other circumstances, maybe it just wouldn't have worked out the way it worked out for me, fortunately.
Basically, you healed yourself through exercise and good eating. And
yeah, I mean, I think with anything, you can give yourself the best chance. Now, obviously, I take medication for it, and I've responded really well to the medication. But I think there's an awful lot you can do for yourself with regard to exercise. And because exercise, it strengthens your heart for a start. It strengthens the body, so it takes the pressure off the heart. But it's also so good for you mentally and for how you feel about things. And the endorphins kick in, and you can face life that little bit better, and you feel happier and you feel more motivated. And that's a big part of healing from any sort of disease or complication. It's really a lot to do with how you feel about life. And to go through what I've been through, and then turn around and to have hope again, and to have joy again, and to know that I'm going to see my child grow up or anything, it just makes you want to really enjoy life, really make the most of it, really go out there and grab life and take it. And I think that's what it's given me, and that's probably one of the reasons that I've gone back to writing, because I've gone back to music, because I now just feel that life's there, and you really have to enjoy it, and you really have to appreciate it, and facing your own mortality, it is a big help in that.
You're such a fabulous speaker about it as well, and I think that's really important, because when I had lots of pregnancy related things, but they were all pregnancy related. I had placenta previa, I had a breech baby, I had a stitch in my womb, I had an ectopic pregnancy, I had literally, as my gynecologist said, if you can have it, if it's there, you'd probably have had it, and and after, having, had all those miscarriages that I had and then had my babies, I mean, I was so grateful. And I know that I'm one of the lucky ones. But a lot of people, they don't even get with miscarriage too. They don't even understand that. I remember losing I'd lost about 3 or 4 babies, and I came into work one day and somebody, I was doing a voiceover, and somebody said to me, "Are you really sure you were pregnant this time?"
Oh, people.
It was like,
yeah. And Jo, it's like you said, people sometimes, it's almost like gaslighting. It feels like that when people say, are you really ill? Because, everyone knows their own body. And I think we have to listen to our own bodies. And, it's all connected with the sort of the state of mind and how you're feeling. And I think it's great that, you and Debbie are now talking about it, because, people out there may be suffering from something and everyone's, the doctor, the GP's gone, it's nothing. It's nothing. But, and I knew actually with my thyroid, and I kept saying to my husband at the time, there's something wrong with me. And he was going, no, you look fine. And I suddenly had this lump appear, and I knew that it had been building up. But it's your body tells you, doesn't it, that something's not right.
Yes, you almost go into a feeling of hibernation. You want to hibernate and protect yourself. Really strange feeling. But to other people on the outside, they misread it as depression, or that, just a mental state that you're in. And I know my family certainly misread it, and they feel terrible about that. And I say to them, there's really nothing you could have done about it. It's just one of those things. But and it's difficult to recognize. I had a friend afterwards who had cancer, and I saw her spirit, and her character, and start to go into this state. And I was thinking, what's wrong with her? It made complete sense to me when she had a diagnosis, but we don't always realize it's that in the first place. It's hard to tell.
That when you are sick, or when it's all at the moment, everything is either about mental health, about menopause, so many, but there's so many other things out there. I mean, miscarriage has always been a weird one, I think, as well. People don't really talk about it, and I think that's like my daughter just had 3 miscarriages and has just recently had a baby. And I think, she talked about it a lot on Instagram, and it helped a lot of people. But I think it's really, really hard, because it's like, you have to be able to speak about these things. You have to be able to grieve about this. And also, you lost a lot of time with your daughter because you weren't well.
I don't really have much recollection of the first 3.5 years, because
wow.
Struggle, and I felt so guilty by that afterwards. But to be honest, as time goes on, it doesn't matter so much, and you're just so thankful and grateful for what you have. But I think there is so much connected to childbirth and what women go through, and up until recently, it really hasn't been talked about. And it's really important to be able to talk about it. I think people thought I was crazy at first. I kept, everywhere I went, oh yes, I'm in heart failure, and this is what it is, this is why it happens. And every pregnant woman I saw, I was like, are you okay? How are you feeling? So I think whatever it is that you go through, you empathize with the women around you, and I think it's really important to communicate.
Could you have another baby?
I couldn't have another baby because my body wouldn't take it. And in fact, I had a miscarriage after Yasmin. When we didn't know, we tried for another one. And what I later found out is that had the pregnancy continued, I probably wouldn't have made it. So I then went for checks, and we looked into every option. We looked into even surrogacy to see if we could have another one. And at this point, we were told it was too dangerous for me to even take the hormone for giving the eggs. So it was out of the question for us. So and actually, that is a huge thing to get your head around. And certainly was for my husband. He found that really difficult. And for me at the time, I'm not as traumatized by it, because I'm actually still trying to figure out how I'm going to get through the next week, month, year, or whatever, still recovering. But of course now, it's a shame, but I have one. I'm not going to complain. I'm very happy.
You have. Can I just say, Jo, that the lyrics, I think this is really important, because I was listening to the lyrics of your song, and it's so inspirational for your daughter and for people, young people, especially women, saying wear your crown, and it's all about self-belief. And I think those things are really important, and that legacy will sort of carry on with your daughter and your grandchildren too. I think congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Does Yasmin want to be a performer like you?
She's dipping her toe at the moment. That was her first little go at being on camera and stuff, and she had a great time.
Well, the camera loves her. She looks amazing.
She does.
Well, it loves you too.
Both of you.
You have been a fabulous guest. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to show a little bit of your film, aren't we, Dee?
We certainly are. We're playing it now.
We're playing it now.
When there's a river waded, the other side is dry. Reach for the sky. Don't look behind.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me and allowing me to share my story.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much,
See you
Jen.
soon,
See you
Jo.
soon.
Thank
Bye.
you.
What a story.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Wow. Just the frustration, 3.5 years where there's something wrong, and people are saying, no, it's this, that, and the other, it's nothing. I can't even get my head around that. How frustrating.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just ridiculous that sometimes, and I know it happens to so many people, they say there's something wrong, and the doctors say, no, there isn't. I think the thing is, don't believe anyone but yourself. You know if there's something not right for you. You just know it. You can feel it. And I think that's very important to keep going. It doesn't matter how much you annoy people or drive them mad. They don't know better than you do. You know more about your body. So if there's one thing I can say to all of our viewers, if you feel there's something not right, persevere.
Absolutely right. On that note.
On that note, Dee isn't right. She's not been right in the head for a long time. So can we persevere and just get her out? No, it didn't work. Didn't work.
Sorry, love. Not getting rid of me easy as that.
I'd like to thank
darling,
and
I
Natalie.
love you really.
Thank you. Thank you, Prashanka and Natalie, and we will see you on Friday.
Yes. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Prashanka. You've been brilliant. See you soon.
As a
Bye.
Bye.